You're listening to After the Review.
After the review.
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is After Review. I'm your host, Peter. Hope everyone had a great week last week. We had a good week 13 in the NFL, along as a pretty good week in college football. Things are starting to get in a picture here. We are coming down the home stretch, 4 games left for everybody. The playoff picture is kind of taking shape. Kind of know a few teams who's in, who's out, and a lot of teams on the fringe here. It was a very eventful week, but we're going to do something a little different this week. I opened up the Twitter, After the Review on Twitter. Check us out for your questions, the fans' questions. What burning sports questions did you want answered by us this week? And, I got great responses, and we're going to try and tackle some of these questions that we had. And, let me know what y'all think. Again, After the Review on Twitter if you want to have your questions answered maybe on the pod. This might be something new we're trying out. But I like this first question, and it's very pertinent to the current situation. What do you think Ohio State should do with their games being canceled, and how should the playoff committee view them? This is a great question. So Ohio State, everybody knows they're kind of dominant. Yeah, I know. Justin Fields. But they've only played 5 games this year as compared to everybody else who are going to be sitting around 9 or 10 games when it's all said and done. They just had their game canceled against Michigan this week, putting them in a bit of a conundrum because the Big Ten, prior to the start of the season, said you had to play a minimum of 6 games to be eligible for the Big Ten championship game. Ohio State does not meet that criteria. Now, the word is the Big Ten's going to, of course, give in and give Ohio State what they want and get them into the Big Ten championship game because they're their only shot of a team in the playoff. But how does the committee view a team like Ohio State that has, they look good, but they've played 5 games. I don't know how you can compare that to teams that have played 9, 10 games. A&M's undefeated if they only played their last 6 games, like Ohio State will have played, including the Big Ten championship game. They're undefeated with a win over Florida. So I think it's a huge advantage to give a team, you only had to play 5 games, and you played one team that's won more than 2 games on your schedule. Now, the 3 games that got canceled for Ohio State were Maryland, Illinois, and Michigan, so I'm not going to act like these were their tough games. It's not like they were playing a bunch of world beaters there. These are 3 probable wins. But I think you need to take a look at what point does playing the games on the field even mean anything? So they're 5-0. They haven't played any strong opponents. According to ESPN, their strength of schedule is 79th overall, and their strength of record is 5th. So it's a pretty decent strength of record. But again, A&M's sitting right behind them with the 6th strength of strongest schedule and the 3rd strength of record. And I understand A&M has a loss here, but they've played a significantly more games. Clearly, their schedule's significantly more difficult, and their record's better than theirs, according to ESPN. And I don't know exactly how they measure these things, but I don't disagree with the argument here. Honestly, it's going to come down to Ohio State and A&M, I feel like. Maybe we get another upset. If Notre Dame beats Clemson and knocks out Clemson, then A&M slides in there. And if Alabama beats Florida, they're going to slide in there. It's really an interesting argument. I know that Ohio State is a brand, and they're a really good team. Don't get me wrong. They look super dominant. But at a point, you have to reward on-field play and availability. The Big Ten did Ohio State 0 favors by canceling the season, starting at the end of October, giving them no wiggle room, adjusting the rules for them. It's not a good look. They have one quality win, and that's Indiana, who really just came out of nowhere. Let's be honest, folks. They're 6-1. They've lost their quarterback for the season. They came out of nowhere, and that's all they have. Like I said, 2 wins, 1 win against a team with more than 2 wins. That's not a strong schedule at all. The Big Ten has been a complete joke this year of a conference. The shortened season didn't help, and their only team that could have boosted them was 5-1 Northwestern in the Big Ten championship game. Now, maybe they get to play them. Now, there is talks and rumblings going on. Ohio State's game got canceled. A&M's game got canceled. Make this thing happen. And everyone's saying the onus is on A&M to go play Ohio State in the shoe. And I completely disagree with that. Why should A&M have to play number 1, current number 6, and then have to go play current number 4 on the road again just to make their case for the playoff when number 4 has played absolutely nobody. Like, if Ohio State started the season unranked, they would not be in the top 4 by any stretch of the imagination. I don't care how impressive you looked in 5 games. Coastal Carolina's 10-0. Cincinnati's 8-0 sitting there, and they're not there. So I don't know what more excuses you can give to Ohio State. Is it just an eye test for your short amount of season, or are we going to go with resume here? Because I don't think these two resumes are close, and the stats back it up. Like I said, 6th strength of schedule versus 72nd, 3rd strength of victory versus 5th strength of victory. These aren't close. A&M's 1-1 against the top 25. Ohio State's 1-0. A&M lost to number 1 undefeated Alabama week 2 in a COVID year. Congratulations. We beat Florida. So I think A&M has a very strong case here to make over Ohio State. They're not going to get it. I'm going to be realistic. They're probably not going to get in. It's going to be, you're going to need some help. They want this. It's TV rights, it's marketing, it's all this nonsense. And we're going to get Alabama, Notre Dame, Clemson, Ohio State if they have their way. Now, God willing, Notre Dame beats Clemson or Clemson blows out Notre Dame so A&M can find their way and slide on in. But I think it's going to be a long shot. It's kind of unfair in the season, but this is a season of unfairness. So that's how it's going to be. Great question. I do think that it's a really deep conversation we need to have moving forward, what we should do with Ohio State, but I don't think anything's going to happen with them. All right, let's move on to the NFL. Now, it's finally happened. This is where I wish my old co-host was here, Mr. Terrell, because Jalen Hurts has replaced Carson Wentz as the starting quarterback in Philly. People have been saying it's way past time. Carson Wentz has really struggled this year. Don't get me wrong, his team has not helped him, but they needed some sort of spark, so they're going with Jalen Hurts. So the question here is, moving forward, what do the Eagles do with Carson Wentz and his contract? Colts, question mark? So the problem is, Carson Wentz will be $180 million in dead cap if they trade him, so I don't think you can trade him. But are you really going to pay $34 million to a backup quarterback? Well, you're going to have to if Jalen Hurts is your guy moving forward. There's no way you can get out of this. You can't. The way the cap works is you can't get out of deferring the guaranteed money, which is deferred, obviously, on his contract. So his cap hit would be huge. I think it's kind of stupid that you can't trade away somebody's contract without having massive amounts of dead money, but hey, that's how the NFL works. So I find it almost impossible to think that they can move Carson Wentz in these next 2 seasons. I'm not sure what his cap hit will be 3 years from now, but what's his value going to be as a backup quarterback sitting there? Unless they get some financial relief, which I don't see. I don't know how the workaround would work. You can't even trade Carson Wentz, which I think would be there'd be plenty of teams that'd be willing to pick him up. The Colts is a good one. I liked Sam Darnold for the Colts, or Pittsburgh with Sam Darnold. But Carson Wentz needs an offensive line to protect him, and he needs some weapons to help him out. He definitely needs a fresh start from Philly. Like I've said constantly on this podcast, I've been saying it for 2 years. He lost it when he got taken out on his MVP Super Bowl run season, and then his backup won the Super Bowl. He's never been the same. The team's never been the same with him. And honestly, somebody pointed out, he hasn't been the same. He was even really good last year, dragging that corpse of a team to the playoffs. And he hasn't been the same since he took that cheap shot from Jadeveon Clowney in the back of his head. This could be a lot of things at play here. Not a great team, not good coaching at all. I don't think Doug Peterson is a good coach. Clearly, Frank Reich was the mastermind of that offense when they won in 2017 because he's been phenomenal in Indianapolis. And Doug Peterson has questionable play after questionable play. I don't see moving forward what the Eagles can do long term, especially if Jalen Hurts is kind of middle tier. Do you play a middle tier young guy, sit $34 million on your bench? I mean, maybe. I just don't see what you get out of that. I mean, maybe you can develop Jalen Hurts into a starting quarterback and he gets better and better. It's just, the cap is a huge issue, and that's what teams need to think about. But again, they're probably not thinking this far ahead if they think they have a franchise guy at quarterback and they make this move. Makes sense. You wouldn't expect to have to make a move if you're thinking you're signing a franchise guy, especially if there's no injury. So puts the Eagles in a really tight spot here moving forward. I like the move personally just for the rest of the season. Why not see what you have from Jalen Hurts and then reevaluate in the offseason? Maybe they fire their head coach and maybe they bring in some tools and pieces and work things out with the new coach, figure this out. But again, they're in a really tight situation. It's not a good look for the Eagles. They've fallen apart. They've been below 500 since they've won that Super Bowl. It's a lot of talking. Hey, Doug Peterson won a Super Bowl and wrote a book on how to win Super Bowls. Good call, Doug. I don't think they're well run currently. There's strife within the organization. I'm already hearing that Jalen Reagor and the Justin Jefferson pick is causing huge divisions in the organization because half of them wanted Justin Jefferson and half wanted Reagor. They took Reagor, and they're not close right now. Justin Jefferson is probably... It's him or Herbert for Rookie of the Year, and Jalen Reagor's barely been able to be out there. He did return a punt last week against Green Bay, so that's something. But they're desperate to get some sort of spark. There's massive divisions within the organization, and I think they're in big, big trouble moving forward because they don't have any idea what to do. All right, next question. Let's stick in the NFL. Do you think any teams will challenge the Chiefs in the playoffs? I know Pittsburgh was undefeated. We just lost one game, but is anybody close? I think this is a great question. I love this question because I know I've been hammering the Chiefs all year. I don't think anybody's close to the Chiefs. Now, they don't play to their full potential, and I didn't love what I saw from them on Sunday night against Denver. 5 field goals doesn't hurt. 1 touchdown from Mahomes. Kelsey had a huge day. Maybe people are figuring out this offense a little more. Maybe the offense is struggling a little bit. It's hard to tell. It is a division game. Division opponents know you in and out, so they play you better. I do like this team in the playoffs. They have won a Super Bowl. I feel like they can just turn it on. Now, I know that's a bad thing to say, but when you've already won one, I have full belief you can be a team that just turns it on and gets a win. It's harder to say. I know a lot of people said in the NBA about the Clippers, like, oh, they can just turn it on. Well, it's harder to do that when you've never won and actually went through a run. The Chiefs did that last year. They're your defending champs. Pittsburgh was a sham of an 11-0 team. They lost a football team. Don't get me wrong, football team's a nice team, especially with Alex Smith. Alex Smith is playing great since he's been coming back. Better and better each week. Going to be your comeback player of the year. Probably the best story the NFL's had in a long time. I mean, the man almost died, for goodness sake, and he should have lost his leg. And he's got his team playing winning football. They're right there in, technically tied for first place. They don't have the tiebreaker with the Giants in the NFC East. I know it's a bad division, but not a good loss for Pittsburgh. They lead the league in drop passes by a wide margin, and everyone talks about these elite wide receivers. Well, they don't catch the damn ball consistently. You're not a great wide receiving core if you can't catch the ball consistently. You can't, you have big explosive plays. We have 3 great receivers and a good tight end. You can't make up for this, especially when you have 0 run game. Pittsburgh has negative run game. I don't know what happened to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh used to be a ground and pound team forever. Defense, ground and pound for the last 20 years. And all of a sudden they forgot how to run the ball. It makes 0 sense to me. Oh, Big Ben's having a great season, coming back. But he still makes some suspect decisions there. And it's like, Ben, you're not a young man anymore. Maybe you need to pull back a little bit. Yes, you know what to do out there, but the body isn't quite there. You see it with Drew Brees. You see it with Tom Brady. Tom Brady's, missing throws because his mind knows what to do. The body just can't make it there. And Ben's in that category. You're making Ben throw it 50 times a game, though. Does not help him at all. Their defense is elite in the pass rush sense, but Washington just showed if you run some quick game, slow down the pass rush, you can really put this team stretched out. They're starting to get thin. Injuries are starting to pile up on the defensive line and in the secondary. So I think Pittsburgh's peaked way too early. I think they're going to slump. Their schedule coming up is tough. They got Buffalo this week coming up, which is a great game. Buffalo's a team to watch out for. I like what I see from Buffalo a lot. That's a team that could probably score with Kansas City. That would be my team that is a threat to Kansas City in the AFC, I think. Cleveland's okay. I need to pull back on Cleveland a little bit. Baker did what Baker did this weekend. He was wide. The guys were running 10 yards open against Tennessee. And, yeah, congratulations. You won a big game on the road. Now do it again on Monday night in prime time against a division rival in the Ravens. If you play again this week and have a night, you don't even have to win. Play competitive. Play them super tight. Lose a tight game. then you'll have a little bit of my respect. But if you come out and lay an egg, I just can't. I can't respect a team that can't handle winning. Good teams win games. Great teams know how to handle winning games. And they can win multiple games, no matter the situation. No high, no low. You just play football, baby. Let's see what Baker can do against the Ravens defense that isn't great lately. They are going to be able to run the ball all over them, I think. And that's going to help him a lot. But like I said, let's see Monday night. So I don't think the Browns are a huge threat to them. Pittsburgh, no. I like Buffalo out of the AFC to challenge the Chiefs. NFC, the NFC is all over the place. I don't even know who the best team in the NFC is. Maybe the Saints, maybe the Packers. I've seen those teams get beat, though, by worse teams and get physically dominated. So, who knows? Can't trust Seattle. They just lost to the Giants. I mean, who knows in the NFC? So, I think it's really probably the Chiefs and the Bills. And I know Bills fans are probably petrified to hear this because they haven't won a division title since the 90s. They haven't played a home playoff game in that long. They haven't won a playoff game since the 90s either. They don't know what to do. And I don't blame them. I love what I'm seeing from Josh Allen. He's been getting better and better every week. He took a slip. He took a little bit of a dip there, and then he picked it right back up, which you like to see from a young quarterback. Their offense is explosive. Their passing game is all over the place. They can run the ball effectively. Defense has been playing a lot better for Buffalo. They're good in spots. They're not great throughout the game, but they're very good in spots situationally. So these are all the things that make for a team that could win some games. But I really do think it's a one-horse race. It's Kansas City's Super Bowl to lose. And I know it's the NFL. Anybody can win on any given Sunday. But I think if you get 90% of the Chiefs game against every opponent, you're going to have to get 100% from somebody for them to barely squeak out a win against Kansas City, I think. I think Kansas City's just that much better, that much more talented, especially at the quarterback position with Pat Mahomes. He's going to win the MVP this year probably. Maybe Rodgers, but I think it's Mahomes' MVP again. So we're talking 2 MVPs in 3 years and a Super Bowl ring in between those two. Most dominant start to a career ever for an NFL quarterback. And Andy Reid's, got to do a little bit better with his timeouts and time management. But I trust him in the play calling department, especially late in big games. He's shown he can do it. He did it in the Super Bowl. So I think it is the Chiefs' Super Bowl to lose. All right, let's move on. What do we got here? NBA questions. I like that. What do you make of the Harden trade situation? Opting / not showing up for camp in Houston? This is a great question because my team is directly involved in the center of this. All right, James Harden kind of is wishy-washy on playing in Houston still. Houston just traded Russell Westbrook for John Wall, and James Harden said he preferred to play with John Wall than James Harden. Well, James, you've had 3 point guards in 3 years. Maybe it's you, bud. I don't know what else to say. He's kind of all over the place. I don't think James Harden is a great leader. And this wishy-washiness I don't like. I would like it if Philly traded for him and they didn't have to give up a lot. But I know Houston's never going to do that. Harden did show up yesterday. Allegedly. The coach doesn't really know. I don't think it's a great situation. Now, he could be worn out. He could be tired. Harden's been known to be a guy that gets gas. And this plays into the next question. I know I've peeked ahead a little bit, because I'm a prepared person. The next question we also have, we're going to combine these, I guess, is, do you think the NBA is starting too early? Do you feel like the guys need more rest? I kind of do. I know Christmas Day is kind of their thing, and they're starting right around there. It's been the shortest break of any professional sports league in America ever. I think it's something like 73 days since the last game was played to the start of the next season. That's nothing. And LeBron's an old man, and the teams in the playoffs are old. It's hard. It's hard on the body. I think they should have waited till January. Nobody really cares about basketball. I always say I don't care about basketball till Christmas Day anyway when the season's normal. So that's 2.5 months into the season almost before I even start caring about the NBA. So I do think they started way too early. These guys needed to get rest. They needed to stay with their families. Now I know everybody's playing at home now, no more bubble, which is a benefit so guys can stay, but they're still traveling a lot. And what happens if the COVID outbreaks start happening in the NBA? Cases are on the rise, What do you do? Are you going to move into another bubble? Players aren't going to have that. It's going to be a shit show. I think they should have waited till the middle of January, maybe the end of January. You could have played a 50-game season It's fine. Play 50 games, go to the playoffs again. There's been strikes before. We've had shortened seasons. It's not a big deal. It's a lot of complaining. Guys take nights off anyway. Maybe you'll get everybody to play all 50 games then if you're playing 50 games to get into shape. So I like that. Yeah, James Harden could just be worn out from this, but I don't think it's a great sign that he's been wishy-washy with the new coach. He didn't show up, didn't tell anybody he wasn't going to show up. He wants to be on a championship contender. If he's not the guy, I like James Harden as a piece. He's a 1A, he's not a 1, and he can't be a leader. Teams take on the mentality of their leader, and James Harden has folded in the playoffs consistently. I think he's done it enough to make it kind of his thing. Not as bad as Paul George, obviously. Nobody's playoff P. But still, kind of fades late, not a great leader, doesn't take responsibility for himself. I'd like him on the Sixers as long as they didn't give up Simmons for him or too much. I'd love to get rid of Tobias Harris's contract. I don't think the Nets are going to make a play on him. That's about it. We'll see where this goes. I'm very interested to see if they do trade him, where he ends up, and how much they can get for him, because it feels like James has all the power in this situation, because Houston can't not have him on the team or have him holding out, and Harden could just hold out. I don't know if he's about that life, though. James Harden doesn't seem like he's that guy to hold out on somebody, so it's interesting. Like I said, he did show up allegedly and get his COVID test to get ready for camp. Maybe he shows up, maybe there was a miscommunication, who knows, but he doesn't seem happy. It's something to definitely keep an eye on moving forward. Great question. All right, what else do we got here? All right, one more question, and it's a baseball question. I love it. Baseball, middle of December, baseball question. I love it. All right, thoughts on Alex Cora coming back to the Red Sox as their manager? Oh, God, I love it. I love it. This is a great question. Because I thought Alex Cora should be banned from baseball forever. Oh, he didn't cheat, blah, blah, blah. Alex Cora is the mastermind of this cheating scheme in Houston, if y'all didn't know. And then the Red Sox conveniently won the World Series the next year, but they said they didn't cheat. They didn't cheat, huh? Okay, well, they won the World Series right after Houston with their mastermind as their manager. And then with the exact same team the next year, after word got around that this might have been going on, they had the worst record in baseball with the exact same team. I don't know how that's possible. Maybe you cheated. You know, you're going to ban Pete Rose for gambling over here for life as a manager, but you're not going to ban Alex Cora for life for blatantly cheating and winning a World Series. But then again, you didn't punish anybody for Houston. But I thought that was because they ratted out the front office guys and the coaches that did it, and the players got immunity. So what is it, Rob? I think it's an embarrassment to the game. Oh, the Red Sox are going to hire him back. We fired him for a year. We want him back. Ha, ha, ha. I mean, the Saints did the same thing with Sean Payton. I think it's kind of a sham. Also, not as much as what happened in Houston. That was blatant cheating. New Orleans was like little cheating, medium cheating. This was huge cheating. I don't think Alex Cora should be allowed to get a job back. I'm okay with A.J. Hinch getting a job back, who was the manager of the Astros, because the word was he was not very happy with it. But then again, he wasn't a strong enough leader to take a stand. He allegedly storied the monitor and camera in center field the first time, and after they put it back up, he just kind of let it go. So maybe a better leader, maybe he's not a strong enough leader for me personally, but I think he was kind of the scapegoat in all of this. Alex Cora was clearly the mastermind, clearly the cheater. I think he should have been banned from baseball. I don't like that they gave him another opportunity to get a manager job, especially with the same team. But what are you going to do? Rob Manfred's been a train wreck for this entire 2020, if we've learned anything. He's probably the weakest commissioner in all of sports. I know people bash Goodell, but at least Goodell seems like he has some sort of control over his league. But lately, he's been bad. Another just off-topic point, Goodell's been bad. They talked about a bubble moving forward to the playoffs because COVID's getting out of control in the league. And he's like, nah, we don't really have a plan for a bubble. It's like, what? You took 2 days off to reset and clean all the facilities in the league, and you don't have a plan moving forward for a bubble in the playoffs? How about you get through the first 2 rounds of the playoffs, everybody takes a week off, and then you just play the conference championship games and the Super Bowl the next 2 weeks? I mean, or you could go game by game. Again, put the 4 teams in a bubble so we don't have any COVID issues. We don't have issues with guys not getting it, getting healthy. I don't want to see this moving forward. I don't want to see, we're in the NFC playoffs and Aaron Rodgers is out. I mean, I shouldn't say that. I would love to see Aaron. I don't want to be in a game where I see, Russell Wilson's got COVID. He's not playing He's not playing in the playoff game. Cool. The game's over. You've just given a team a free win, basically. So I don't want to see that. Nobody wants to see that. They need to get this under control, but the NFL is so wishy-washy. I think they'll eventually figure this thing out, and I do think we're going to have a bubble for the playoffs. At least the conference championship game and the Super Bowl. Maybe it goes into the divisional round. Maybe you only play a wild card round. You take everybody off for a week. Then because, here we go. I've worked this one out. So we add the 8 teams. We don't get a bye for that 1 seed. Everybody plays round 1 of the playoffs. You take a week off after that game to make sure everyone gets set, and then you play in a bubble the next 3 rounds, which is very doable. You play it in 3 cities. You have 3 cities for 3 games, or what's the divisional round? So if it's 8, it goes down to, okay. So you have 4 cities, or 2 cities, and you play 2 games Saturday, 2 games Sunday for the NFC, AFC at each of those locations, so 4 games on every day. I kind of like that. I know TV ratings are a whole thing. But, yeah, take it off, reset it, go to a bubble. Just make sure we get this Super Bowl played. I think that's the biggest concern for everybody. Just get these seasons finished. We'll take up the start of the seasons. We may have a shutdown here coming up. Who knows? Things are a little bit up in the air. The vaccines are rolling out, though. So there's a lot of questions still to be answered. It is a little concerning, the amount of cases that are spreading in the NFL. People are starting not to care, especially the teams that are out of it. You can already tell that things are starting to get lackadaisical. The Ravens, the whole disaster. I mean, yeah, that's still going on there. I don't know. I'm a huge fan of a bubble moving forward. I've solved it. You expand the playoffs, 8 teams in each conference. You play the wild card round. Then you take the remaining 4 teams in each conference. You put them in a bubble. You play those games out. You play the divisional and conference championship games back to back. Then you're in a bye for the Super. Then you have a bye. Play the Super Bowl, and there you go. Super Bowl champs, everybody. I think that'd be the smart thing to do. I doubt Roger Goodell does it. Again, who knows? I'm a little bit of an optimist here. It doesn't feel like the NFL is the most in control of what they're doing, but we'll see how it goes. All right, that is going to do it for us for the questions this week. Again, a little bit different this week. Open up the Twitter. Check out After the Review with Peter and Terrell on Twitter. After the Review 1. It's we got good stuff. Post some questions there. I can answer those questions on this pod. Maybe get a few of them in. Let me know what y'all think of this new format. Be sure. Let's see. Let's check out the schedule coming up. Any good games this weekend in the NFL? I know. Let's see. Patriots, Rams, Thursday night. Good game. Buccaneers, Vikings. There we go. Playoff implications. That's a 7-6 seed in the NFC. Anything else? Bills, Steelers, Ravens, Browns. Their Sunday night and Monday night game. Big time. You love to see that. All right, yeah, those are the games you should watch, so check those out. It's going to be good games. Again, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to like it, share it, subscribe to the podcast and the YouTube channel, and I'll see y'all next week.